You know that meme from Leonardo DiCaprio from The Wolf of Wall Street, where he stands with his arms open wide, pointing out that he's a winner? I can imagine that in 1 week from now, that's how Kevin Feige will take the stage in San Diego during Marvel Studios' Hall H presentation during Comic Con. I mean, they dropped the N word. Hello and welcome to the Review of Champions. Today we're going to talk about Marvel Studios' Thor Love and Thunder. With me are voice only and returning after being away for a while, Loki's mom.
Hi there, everybody. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really great. How about you, Taylor?
I'm excellent.
Well, Loki's mom stole my thunder. The next and last panel member we're having here today to talk about Thor Love and Thunder is Taylor. Taylor, you're doing also great, I hear.
I am.
You know what? Before we start, I would like to ask you all to hit that like and subscribe button and maybe join our forum on Sakar.freeforums.net. It's a small but nice community that we would love to grow. Make friends there and talk about what you love. If you want, you can even join our team and be on the review or podcast of champions. We would love to have you. We're going to talk spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, go check it out first and then come back to the video. Loki's mom, since you are back with us after a little while, can I have your quick thoughts about Thor? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Tell me.
Well, I would say that overall I liked it. As a movie, let's say I like it because it's part of the MCU, because I have to meld it into that. But as a movie by itself, I was highly disappointed. I really expected more from Waititi. How do you say his name? I'm sorry.
Taika Waititi.
Waititi. I expected a lot more from him, and I'll explain why a little bit more later.
Oh, looking forward to hear that. Taylor, what did you think about Thor: Love and Thunder?
I love this movie. I had a great time watching this movie. To me, this movie felt more like a comic book than any other Marvel property up until now, any other MCU property up until now. It felt exactly like the Thor comics I used to read back in the 70s and early 80s, with him sailing through outer space in a wooden Viking longbow fighting villains. I think everything hit the right beats. It wasn't nothing's perfect, and we'll talk about stuff I would have liked to see that wasn't there and so on. But I think the humor for the most part worked. I think the story worked. I thought it was really well put together and executed. The characters all worked really good. I thought Jane's story and bringing her arc to its conclusion worked really well. I thought the technical aspects, we'll talk in more detail about that, I think, but I thought they all worked really good. So I was completely happy with this movie.
Okay. Well, personally, I have a bit of mixed feelings about this movie. I have some issues with it. On the other hand, I absolutely had a great time watching it. I laughed until my pants dropped. Not figuratively, it's figuratively, not literally. I kept my pants on in the movie theater before I get arrested. No. But no, I really loved and enjoyed it, and it was Taika Waititi. It was definitely Taika Waititi. I do, however, feel it was maybe a little bit too much Taika Waititi. It went so far that the tone and the vibe was a little bit different than where I'm used to from the MCU. I don't know if that's a bad thing for the movie when you look at it separately, but I do have some questions whether it fits in the shared universe the way it was presented. We'll get into the details later, but yeah, I'm a little bit mixed on it. I've compared it to Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron is a movie that is very ambitious and Very much is happening. It's super funny. It's a great film, but it also wants to do a little bit too much. And I have the same feeling a little bit for Thor: Love and Thunder. Mind you, to this day, Age of Ultron is my most rewatched MCU movie, and I don't think it's very good, but I still rewatched it the most of all because it's my go-to movie when I want to have a good time. So that's not a bad thing in the end. So as I have said, mixed feelings. Taylor, did you have any issues, or was it just one big love fest?
Well, my biggest gripe is they showed us space dolphins, but I was really looking forward to seeing some space sharks in this movie. But all we got was the space dolphin, so that was a letdown. I guess they had to cut them for time. That's all I can figure.
But, I was looking forward to that too.
I loved it. Okay, some of the humor, nobody laughs at everything. There were a couple jokes that I didn't laugh at, but for the most part, I think the humor was executed well. Thought the action scenes were super. I love the villain. Gore was great. Bale did a great job playing him. I was a little worried. I always go into superhero movies a little worried that they're going to overpower the villain and make the villain too powerful, and he's just going to swipe Thor away with a wave of his hand and stuff. And that didn't happen. We got good fight scenes every time Thor and Gore and the mighty Thor and Gore came together and fought. So I like that. And when even Valkyrie got to fight a little bit in there. So I thought he was a good villain. He was not out to conquer the entire universe or destroy half of the population of the universe. He had a smaller specific goal. He didn't like aliens who are worshipped as gods, and he wanted all of them dead. Okay, that's his thing. That's what he's trying to do, and that was what it was aimed at. I loved how it came together with Thor with the attack on New Asgard, and I like that we saw a little bit of New Asgard under Valkyrie's control leadership, and how it was, it's blended with human society a little bit now. Humans are visiting there, and they're selling infinity cones and doing plays about the death of Odin and son and so on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So again, I like that little look into life. And then again, the Jane story, which again, Taika Waititi, he loves the humor, but he can really pull at the heartstrings too. And it was really sad seeing Jane with cancer, but it was really awesome that she got to go on this last adventure and got the power of Thor. She was worthy. I always pronounce the name of the hammer wrong, so I'm just going to call it the hammer. The hammer gets put back together and gets back into use.
You can go with Jonathan. That's a very acceptable name within the MCU. Jonathan.
Oh, Jonathan. Okay.
Yeah, that was a joke answer by Paul Rudd when he was asked what Thor's hammer is called.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are using the name Jonathan because they cannot pronounce Mjolnir. Yeah, sorry, I can't. But I'm European. I can speak foreign languages. Sorry.
I can reason. Well, never mind.
But most importantly, I loved Thor in this Thor movie. He has gone on a journey. He has reached a point in his life. I loved, he was working with the Guardians of the Galaxy, helping them when they need him. And oh my God, how freaking awesome was that action scene where Thor takes out those heavy metal biker bird alien freaking guys with the heavy metal music playing in the background, and he just kicks their butt. Okay, because Thor is one of the most powerful heroes in the entire Marvel universe, and he showed it there. So he's back to form. Not sure where he wants to go in the future at that point. At the end of the movie, we see a little bit of where he's going in the future. But he's there. He's with the Guardians of the Galaxy. They had to shove I saw some people complain the Guardians of the Galaxy weren't in this very much. Why were they there? Well, they were there because they were there the last time we saw Thor, and we had to show what he did with them and why they are not there for the rest of the movie. And that's what they did. They went off to save other people. There were alarms going off on their system, so they went out to do Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. Well, he went back to figure out this whole God Killer thing with the Asgardians. I loved I can't remember the name of the place, but the home of the gods, and Russell Crowe as Zeus was hysterical.
Omnipotent
And
City.
what a great over the top performance by Russell Crowe. And then the final conflict, and then when they, the Shadow Realm or whatever it's called, where Gore was hanging out, where he's holding like the kids hostage. I thought that was really well done. I thought the cinematography on that was great. How it went to black and white, and then just little teeny flashes of color here and there. One of the greatest things I like is when the ship that's going through space. I love that a wooden ship is flying through space, being pulled by screaming goats, but it crashes into that asteroid, and it's like this. And I'm sitting in the theater thinking, "Oh my God, now they're upside down." And then wait a minute. The camera angle turns like this. There's no upside down in space. It doesn't matter. They just get out and start doing what they need to do on the asteroid. So anyway, it all came together really well for me. Like I said, a little bit of the humor didn't register with me. No space sharks, big letdown there. But overall, it worked. It worked good for me. I had a great time.
Well, Lokismom, you had some more issues with the movie. Can you elaborate on it?
Well, after hearing Taylor, I mean, I'm starting to feel a little bit better about the movie right now. So, I mean, just hearing his enthusiasm, I think, kind of helps a little bit. Yeah, I had issues, like I said, not so much with the story and everything and how it fits in, because I think it's maybe setting it off, and finally we're starting to see the direction it's going to, and I appreciate that. I'm hoping we're done with some of these movies like the Eternals that I really just don't know what's going on with it, why this was introduced. But I think one of the things I had was, and I'll give you an example, and I'll say this, it said that, the film Where Was Loki? That was always a speculation, would he be in this movie? And of course, he wouldn't have. Loki from before is dead, and the Loki variant wouldn't fit into this story anywhere. There's just no way for him to fit in there. And I think they handled it well as far as doing like some flashbacks where we did see Tom Hiddleston's character, and then of course they incorporated the play element, which was in the Ragnarok. And you brought up the idea of New Asgard as this tourist trap, and with the cruise boats out there, and even with the play, and it probably this would be maybe Taylor's. I don't think Grandmaster would, but up in the Smoky Mountains, we particularly when I was a kid back in the '60s and the '50s and '60s, they had these little tourist traps, particularly around Cherokee, which was the home of it's an Indian Native American reservation for the Cherokee tribe up in the mountains. But all around it, there was like these phony baloney Indian with the just tourist junk. But they also have.
Oh, we actually, if I may interject, actually we do have that in Europe as well. There's a theme park in Germany. I visited as a kid where they have like cowboys and Indians fighting each other, and it's all fake. But and there's old Western time build up like that. Just like the Japanese in that regard. But continue with your story about it.
So there's that element, like right there, just like what you're saying. This romantic fake, something that's coming off, Saturday morning television element almost. And then there's this play that they're doing. I think it's something involving Loki again, sort of reflects back to the original play they did. And here's the problem I have with that. Even though Loki could fit nowhere into that story, what made the original play funny in Ragnarok was that Loki's sitting in the audience. Loki wrote that lame play, and we first viewing in that movie, you're not sure, but you kind of know that's what's going on, and then of course there he is. This movie doesn't have that, so it kind of fell flat. I mean, plus the actress, just fabulous comedic actress that burst through the thing is Hela, and but the punchline wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? So that I think got it off to a rocky start for me. The other element I disliked the most, I thought, was the handling of the love story. I thought not put any blame onto Natalie Portman at all. I thought she was magnificent. She's, as always, she's just a top-rate actress, and she puts the work into whatever she's doing. And you could tell she had beefed herself up and worked hard, just like she did when she was in Black Swan. You know, she went back and really got her ballet skills back up to as well as she could get them for that part. And so, you know, that's why she won an Oscar. So she brings that here to this, but then I think the story itself starts to fall flat because there was a lot of talky, a lot of them just sort of Jane and Thor looking at each other, and you know, are they going to burst into, you know, a song, do, you know, Nelson Eddy and Jeanette McDonald like thing, you know, but almost I don't know why he didn't do that. That would, you know, be more his style than this, you know, flat two people talking to each other. So that was kind of drugged me down a little bit. And then I guess the ending, I think, well, let's put it this way. They just underutilized Christian Bale and his character. They could have brought a lot more to that, particularly toward the end. At some point, I sort of forgot when they would get into the comedy elements, like with Zeus, which was great, that whole Zeus. I'll agree that was the best part of it. I mean, if that energy and that craziness and that perverseness prevailed all through the movie, I'd probably have a different opinion about it, but I think it just dropped off in too many places. I would have loved to have seen a lot more Christian Bale, so that was another disappointment. Chris Hemsworth, he's great. You know, he's Thor. That we find out at the end that, yeah, he's not going anywhere. We're going to see Thor a little bit down the road somewhere, somehow. So there's still hope for a Loki Thor reunion at one point. So,
Yeah.
and that's about it.
Yeah, there's rumors that Chris Hemsworth's Thor will show up in Loki season 2, but I don't know. That's not been confirmed. So maybe next week we will get confirmation of that. We don't know. We just don't know. Yeah. Like I said, I laughed a lot during while watching this movie. How could I not? I mean, it's funny. It's a funny movie. Even though it tackles also some serious issues like breast cancer and choosing love or hate, stuff like that. It's the heavy-handed topics are there, and I think Taika handles that well. I mean, he showed that in Ragnarok. He showed that now again here in. He showed that in Jojo Rabbit, actually, which I really enjoyed as a movie, and he showed that here as well. I do, however, have some issues. I'm really annoyed that we didn't get to see Jane transform into the Mighty Thor for the first time. When she was there, you see the hammer going like the hammer pieces going like, whoa, something's happening, and then they cut it off, and we don't get to see her transform into the Mighty Thor for the first time, which I think is really missing from this movie. I think we should have seen that. I know why they didn't do it, so we get the reveal later on when Thor sees Jane as Mighty Thor for the first time. However, that would not be any less if you had seen her transform into the Mighty Thor first. And I think that's really a miss. I also missed the part where she was named, actually, the Mighty Thor. All of a sudden, she's called that. There's no explanation when or how or how that happened and who named her that way. So that's a little bit odd. I also didn't really care for the ending that much. It was just a little bit strange. I had a rant. We had a rant earlier from Taylor about the things that were a little bit off in the Miss Marvel finale. Well, excuse me. At a certain moment, Gore is fighting the mighty Thor. Doors open. Thor can just go in there, make his wish, save Jane, and then Gore is done. He's done. I mean, the sword is being destroyed by the mighty Thor. Thor can go into eternity, and then it's done. I don't get why they do it like this. Maybe it's just to make sure that Natalie Portman cannot come back in the MCU. I don't know. But contract is up and they don't want to renegotiate. I don't know. But that was an odd choice to me. I also didn't like that Thor just gives away or can implant his powers all of a sudden into other people. I don't know in the comics if he can. I know Odin could give the power to Thor, who could ever lift the hammer and will possess the power of Thor. I know, but I didn't know that Thor as well could say that to the hammer. And all of a sudden give a bunch of kids the power of Thor, which is also an odd choice. Talking about those kids, Gore goes on his killing spree because gods do not care about anything except themselves. So how does Gore learn or get into a fight with Thor? By taking away kids. So he cares about those kids, and then it's just inconsistent. I mean, if the gods don't supposed to care, then why take the kids? You don't believe they care about those kids, right? So why take them? So it doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, there are a few things that are not making sense to me. Besides that, that's just the arguments, the nitpicking. But besides that, I think it's a little bit of a messy movie. They go from New Asgard to Omnipotent City, then they go back through another planet, and then they go back again to the center of the universe, etc. Yeah, it felt a bit odd, and it felt a bit messy. Like I say, the style and the humor was it was so over the top. Not like Ragnarok, where it was pretty much it became silly, and it was, now it was like. Main critique on Ragnarok was that some of the heavy dramatic moments were topped off with a joke, taking away from the drama. It feels to me like Taika read that critique and thought, you know what? I'm going to double down. I'm going to double down. Every drama, not get only one joke, not two jokes, but no, they get 10 jokes. And I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you know what I mean. He doubled down on that. And that hurt the movie in my perspective, personally. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed it. I laughed a lot, and I can't fault it for anything. I don't know what that mid-credits stinger will do with Hercules all of a sudden showing up. It's another character that's being introduced into them in a rapidly growing MCU. Take that count, 16 heroes. I don't know if you included Hercules, but in that count, but it's another superpower.
I did, so it's 17 now.
Exactly. So the MCU is rapidly growing, and I hope they can keep all the balls in the air, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's starting to get a little unwieldy, and and if we can sort of critique the whole thing overall a little bit, so I think this is supposed to be the Phase 2 movie, right? Or the first Phase 2 movie. Or the last one, I don't know.
No, I think it's still Phase 4 where we're talking about.
So we're not Phase 5 yet.
We're not at Phase 5 yet.
Okay. All right.
I hope we get some clarification on that next week, but we have to wait and see. But yeah, I just feel that there's a danger that the MCU will collapse on its own weight if they don't balance everything right. However, I do trust Marvel Studios to do it right.
Well, that's what I was going back to. I think if you think back, we had a lot less characters to keep up with.
Yeah,
a lot less.
Yeah.
Now we get people that they're gone for a year or two, and then we've forgotten who they are.
Hmm.
when they are reintroduced back in. So I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
you can look.
I just hope they can get a handle on that.
Look at Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange 1 came out in 2016. Then we get Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, and after that we get Doctor Strange 2. So there were 3 Spider-Man movies in between, and Doctor Strange had to wait 6 years for a second solo outing. Of course, he showed up in Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Endgame, but still, it's a long time for characters to wait to get their next solo outing. Same goes for Guardians 2, for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians 2 was in 2017. We have to wait until 2023 before we see Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Of course, that also had to do with the James Gunn issue. Still, it's a long time to see characters, or have a long time between characters solo
Well,
outings.
that's how the Disney Plus facilitates, because you've got it. There's your one-stop shop just to go back and review anytime you want.
Yeah.
Well, except for Spider-Man, but you know what I'm saying. Just about everything else is available.
Yeah. Taylor, you had a comment.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said about the collapsing of its own weight at this point and having so many characters and so many storylines going on at one time, as I mentioned before. But getting back to Thor Love and Thunder real quick, I thought it was really kind of powerful the way they ended it up with Gore, giving him that choice. You know, Gore, you've made it. You're at the center of the universe with eternity sitting there. You got one wish. Are you going to wish for revenge? Or are you going to wish to save your daughter? And he made the right choice, and I thought that was pretty powerful. And Thor let him do it. Thor apparently thought that was going to happen. And I agree, and I understand your point, Grandmaster. You know, why didn't he do it this way? You know, and you can always say that after a movie, but it's a valid point. But I think the way that they did end up executing it, Thor said, you know, make your choice, and he went back to his love, who was dying at that moment, of course, Jane. So I thought that was pretty powerful and pretty well executed. And of course, well, let me get back to the kids in general. Okay, first of all, how adorable was that scene where the kids were firing lasers out of their stuffed Easter bunnies, and that was really cool. My thoughts on the giving of the powers, because at first I thought, wait a minute, that's a little weird, but you know, it is what it is. I'm thinking that because they're children, they haven't had time to become unworthy yet. Therefore, all kids are worthy to receive that power for a little bit of time in an emergency to save their lives. Interesting thing I found out later. First of all, the Love, who Thor is now adopted, I guess, that was Chris Hemsworth's actual daughter playing that role. And in that group of kids were Taika Waititi's kids, and Natalie Portman's kids were also in that group of kidnapped kids. So that's just kind of a fun side
That's
thing.
kind of cheap labor there.
Yeah, you go. You don't have to pay no union wages there.
Daddy,
can I be in your movie?
Yeah, I heard Chris Hemsworth's daughter was kind of a diva on set, but
I'm sure she was. Sure she was. Every right to be. But she was really cute, and she actually could act pretty well. A couple other things real quick. Now I'm forgetting. Oh, for years now I've been hearing, and I've been saying they were wrong, and I was right. I've been hearing Jane is going to replace Thor. Thor is going to die in this movie, and Jane Foster is going to be the new Thor. Well, that didn't happen. Jane's dead, gone to Valhalla. Wait till they find out that she's Jewish when she gets there, but
hey,
she's gone to Valhalla, and
I got something to add.
Thor is still Thor, and he's still out there saving other planets from whatever, him and the girl with the giant axe, right? Oh, and by the way, you know, you may not have known this. You may not have known this, but every time Eternity brings someone back from the dead, they do get superpowers. Okay, that's everyone. Everyone should know that. Okay.
Okay. Well, you know, it sort of points to she's kind of like, you know, they're heading toward sort of a young Avengers, because there we've got Kid Thor, and you know, with Thor powers, who knows? But you're talking about now. what he made a point of it. This was what, a couple of weeks before it came out, and they're going to kind of go because he's my favorite character. I'm just going to say it. He's my son. What can I say? Loki. He was not going to be, before he put his foot down. I just quit going on. He's not going to be in this movie. He's dead. Loki is dead. Okay. Now, if we saw when the gods die, we saw this in the other movies when Odin passed away and Frigga passed away. They turned to stardust. This golden, when you stabbed Zeus, we saw that golden stuff start coming out of it. We never saw that with Loki. So is Loki dead? Because we never saw his stardust.
Yep, good question. We'll probably find out in another 10 years when the next Thor movie comes out. But I want to point out just one other thing I noticed.
Loki didn't die in combat, so and I think the Stardust is when you go to Valhalla, and of course, but Odin also. Yeah, I don't know.
He was in combat with
yes,
Thanos,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
maybe. I don't know.
He had Thanos. He had the knife in his hand. He was going to kill Thanos.
Yeah,
Guys,
okay.
it's
You
not-
convinced
it's not
me.
his
I was
fault,
wrong.
didn't it?
I will just cut this whole thing
Yeah.
sequence out.
And also,
Yeah.
Sif would have gone to Valhalla too. Okay, that just because you don't die immediately doesn't mean you don't go to Valhalla.
You're harsh.
Sif-
Grandmaster's
no,
harsh.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
Thor,
a tough Valkyrie.
Sif definitely would have gone to Valhalla. She died in battle. Okay, the fact that it took her a while to bleed out before she would have died, but I'm glad they saved her and she's still alive. So we're gonna see her again because I thought she was gonna die. So I'm glad she's still back in new Asgard. But the last thing
when she and when Sif and Winter Soldier shakes hands.
Yeah. Oh wow, that could be. She'll probably get a metal arm. She'll get an Asgardian metal arm. That'll be cool.
Sure.
Have all the runes and stuff on it. But last thing I want to mention is I noticed there was one more retcon in here. They retconned Korg. In Ragnarok, he had a mother who didn't make enough pamphlets to start the revolution. But in this movie, he's got two fathers.
Well, maybe it's an interchangeable word.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I just thought it was funny that his boyfriend, made of rocks, was called Dwayne. Yeah.
Exactly.
With the mustache.
Yeah, exactly. So,
kind of like Taylor's.
yeah, but it was really, yeah. I like I say, I have mixed feelings about this movie. It's just that I liked it, and there's parts I don't like, and sometimes they're the same parts. I can't explain it. So it's a bit hard for me to define this movie or even rate it. But
I said before, when we do these, and we've only seen the movie, or at least I haven't. I've only seen the movie once, so. Probably once I see it when it rolls around on Disney Plus, in a couple of weeks or months or two, a couple months, hopefully I'll have a different attitude about it, because I've listened to Taylor and I've listened to you, and so I have different things to look for now.
Yeah, I'm just hoping it goes the way of Black Panther. When I saw Black Panther the first time, I wasn't really a fan, and now it's in my top 5 MCU movies. So it will take me a little while to appreciate it. But anyway,
was there a second end credit? Because I only saw the one with Hercules.
There was one, Jane showing up in Valhalla.
Jane in Valhalla.
Yeah, she was greeted by Heimdall.
And she's in. All right, I get it now. I didn't see that part, but I had to leave at that.
Okay.
I couldn't wait any longer at that point.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's great that they're bringing in Hercules, though. I think. Well, I mean, other than it's just too many characters, he is a good character to bring in.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about ratings now. Lokismom, I will let you go first. How would you rate Thor Love and Thunder?
I'm gonna stick with I had given it over on sarkarfreeform.net, which was a 6.5, and I'm gonna go ahead and stick with that. Like you say, once I watch the movie again, I'll revise my rating at that point.
Yeah. Can't go up, can't go down. Taylor?
I think while I was watching the movie, I was loving it all the way up through, but I think at the scene where they had the battle in the shadow zone or whatever, where they did that overhead shot of the three of them, Valkyrie, Jane, and Thor, fighting those shadow monsters, and the shadow monsters were all different. One was like a snake, and the others were like insects. I thought that was just so beautifully shot. I said right then and there, 10 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Well, okay. I'm gonna be a little bit more on Loki's mom's side. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I had too much fun to give it a bad rating. However, I also have a feeling it's not a really good movie. I have to also watch it again to make sure that my feelings are right or wrong. And feelings change over time as well. So yeah. After all, I am a person in development. What I say now doesn't have to be true in 5 more minutes. So.
Well, can I add one thing to that? Also, when in the context of viewing that, we may see a movie or two down the road, a TV show down the road that will then harken back to this movie, and then we'll say, "Oh yeah, now I know what was going on there," or or it will have more meaning for us. So that's one thing that kind of comes back to the MCU experience. It's not just this one movie; it's the whole thing that we're going through together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a journey. The MCU, it remains a journey. I think that will conclude our review for Marvel Studios' Thor: Love and Thunder. Before we finish, I would like to ask you all to hit that like and subscribe button and notification bell on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, like our Facebook page, join the forum on Sakar, sakar.freeforums.net. Cannot say that enough. That way you will never miss us, and we won't have to miss you. Thank you, and see you next time for our next review series. Andor's coming, She-Hulk is coming up. Who knows what movie we're going to review. And if you remember my opening statement about San Diego Comic Con, there's a fat chance we will do a podcast about it. Bye.